Aether Revolt, 2 generic and 2 red enchantment revolts. As long as a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage from the opponent or permanent opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. If you get 1 or more energy, Aether Revolt deals that much damage at any target. Um, so, like, the thing about this card is you need to gain energy for it to do the thing, and then, like, this does actually, like, work with other sources of non-combat damage you have. Like, if you had, like, burn spells, for example, as long as you triggered Revolt, they would deal 2 more damage, but, um, it's not like there's, like, things that, from what I could tell, that, like, ping the well, no, there's some things that ping the opponent, but I'm still not like convinced this is really great. Like, because it wants you to do like potentially multiple different things. Like, you want to gain the energy, but then you want to also trigger revolt so that you get like extra damage from your stuff. Like, I can think of like a couple cards that could combo with this, but I'm still not convinced it's gonna be that great or whatever. It's just gonna you're gonna have to. It's probably more of like a constructed plant really than anything. So I had it rated as like a D plus, but maybe someone will break it. But I don't know. In limited, I feel like it's just a lot of work. I mean, if you have like a ton of energy generators, it is like you could just start pinging all their stuff, but which would bring it up to like a C, not starting it out very high. Amped Raptor, 1 and a red, creature dinosaur, first strike. When Amped Raptor enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. Then, if you cast it from hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non land card. You may cast that card by paying an amount of energy equal to its mana cost rather than paying mana cost. So, if this is not Cascade, it can it can it can hit a it can hit cards that are not that cost more than it. Also, like, another important distinction is that any lands that this hits are permanently exiled. It's not like normally like you would shuffle the land back into like your deck or whatever. No, it's gone. So yeah, I could see this card like just being really good or not great. I guess it's like your curve is like really low, and because you like if you play this on 2, I wouldn't operate under the assumption that you're getting a free card from it. It's more like maybe you gained a bunch of energy from other things, and then you play this on turn 4 or 5, and then maybe you can go like, oh, I'm gonna play a card off of, like, I don't know. I'm gonna say it's like a B minus, just because it could have like a lot of upside, but it could also just play out a lot like a 2 mana first strike or whatever. 2 minutes, one first. Fine. Alright, Ashling Flame Dancer. 2 generic, 2 red. Legendary creature elemental shaman. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases in. Magecraft, whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, discard a card and then draw a card. If this is the second time the ability is resolved this turn, Ashling Flame Dancer deals 2 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. If it's the third time, add 4 red. So, this is a card that would combo with that Aether Revolt. You would need to be able to, like, cast 2 instants or sorceries in 1 turn to do the damage. I mean, I think it's, like, a relatively powerful ability if you can do it. the not losing unspent red mana steps or phases in can certainly help you do that. Like if you were trying to cast like two expensive like spells in one turn, you could maybe just tap a bunch of your red mana and then oh no, that doesn't let you know, never mind that it's only a steps and phases in. So it's like does that let you no, I guess it does let you save mana right between turns. I think it would let you save mana between turns, but still, I don't think that's usually like the thing that like limits you to like casting like multiple instants in sorcery. But it's not bad. It's not a bad ability. It let you maybe like take a turn off to play something bigger on a later turn. Um, yeah, I just had like a B because yes, there could be like some really insane upside with it, like if you are getting the triggers and the mana, like the mana might matter, like being able to save the mana, but it could play out a lot like a 4 mana 4/4 in some decks. No abilities. Detective Phoenix, Enchantment Creature Phoenix, Bestow, Red, Collect Evidence 6. Flying Haste, Enchanted Creature gets +2/+2 and is flying in haste. So I think the bestow ability on this is really powerful. It's like limited obviously by the amount of things in your graveyard that you can exile to pay for the collect evidence 6. But like the fact that giving flying and haste to like creatures is actually like a pretty strong ability. So I had this rated as a B plus just because like the bestow is really strong. You would need to like preferably combo it with like some self mill in order to like have like the collect evidence for it. Um that's I guess where those expensive cycling cards come into play because like the Eldrazi you can cycle them to get like a really expensive card in your graveyard to collect evidence. Eldrazi Linebreaker, one generic, one color, one red, creature Eldrazi, devoid, trample. At the beginning of combat your turn, target creature you control gains haste and gets +X+0 until end turn, where X is the number of Eldrazi you control. So, like, if this is your only Eldrazi, you can give it haste. So it'll be like a 4/3 haste for 3. And then, like, if you're playing other Eldrazi and, like, they'll you can start giving those other Eldrazi haste as you play them, and then they'll also get like a bigger buff because you'll have more Eldrazi in play. So yeah, I was saying this card's very good. I think it's like in the A minus range maybe, or maybe it's A minus might be a little too high, but it's like what this card will put a lot of pressure on like your opponent if they don't remove it, just being able to like play creatures and give them haste and also give them a power buff, like pretty good. All right, Fang Flames, one in the red, sorcery, devoid. Fang Flames deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that creature planeswalker would die to turn exile instead. Um, yeah, I put this as like a B. It might play out more like a B minus. Maybe it's like a little bit too good to like say like, oh, a red removal spell, but it's like definitely I think this is gonna be like probably like a top red common. Like I think both this one and the energy removal are gonna be like a top red common. That is like it is like very efficient for does, and like the exiling is like relevant too. Alright, Flare of Duplication, 1 and 2 black, instant. You may sacrifice a red and 1 and 2 red, sorry. Instant, you may sacrifice a non-token red creature rather than pay its spell's mana cost. Copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may may choose new targets for the copy. This is like fancy fork. Um, I know fork makes the spell red, right? Too, but it costs 1 more mana. I don't usually these types of cards don't play very well because they're super situational. Like the sacking a non-token red creature might be like relevant, like getting to like copy a sorcery when you look like you're tapped out, but I don't know. I'm just gonna say it's like a D plus. I just don't really usually play like these types of spell copy cards and limited, and because it's just situational. Right, Frogmere Enforcer, artifact creature Frogmere, prototype 3 in the red, 3 generic in the red, 2/2. So if you pay the 3 in the red, it becomes a red 2/2. It has affinity for artifacts. I put this as a C. I think it's like you're not really excited about either side, but this is probably going to be a decent glue card in your black red affinity deck. Like I put it up to like a C plus there. This also triggers your colorless 7 mana spell matter stuff too. If you just cast it as a 7-drop. So that's something that is relevant. If you cast it as a 4-drop, it's not colorless, it's red. Furnace Hellkite, 5 generic, 2 red, artifact creature dragon, affinity for artifacts, flying, red. Furnace Hellkite gets +1/+0 until end of turn. That's Shivan Dragon that costs like 1 more, but because you like if you're playing affinity with artifact, it should probably be costing less. Like in your good affinity deck, this is probably like cost like there's a good chance like in your good affinity deck you're playing this on like turn 4 or 5. Turn 4 might be a little hard because you need to play an artifact every turn to do that. Maybe. So I guess turn 5 might be more cool, unless like there's things that make cool artifacts. So again, I put it as a C. I don't know, like again, it's a large creature. It's it'll kill them pretty quickly. The ironic thing is if you're playing out cheaper with like affinity, you probably won't have like as many like red pips to like pump it. It is kind of funny to think that like Shivan Hellkite is or not Shivan Dragon is not like a bomb anymore. It's just fine. Alright, and this is like the other red spell is talking about actually this red spell might be better than the other one just because it only costs 1 mana. I forgot this only costs 1 mana, but yeah, Galvanic Discharge red instant. Choose target creature or planeswalker, you get 3 energy, and then you may pay any amount of energy. Galvanic Discharge permanent. So it's basically Bolt. It only hits creatures and planeswalkers, but I mean it's super efficient. You know, sometimes you don't even need to pay all the energy. Sometimes you have more energy and you can pay more, like pay 4 or something or 5 to get something, and really good. I wrote it as a B. I guess maybe this. I think maybe this removal spell is actually better than the Fang Flames. All that, but Ghostfire Slice. 2 generic and a red, instant devoid. The spell costs 2 less to cast if the opponent controls a multicolored permanent. Ghostfire Slice deals 4 damage to any target. This is like kind of exciting and like modern and like limited. I still think it's like reasonably strong, like 3 mana deal 4 that can go face. That's usually like strong, and if they have a multicolored permanent, then it's even better. Like 1 mana deal 4. So I had it as a B. There's a lot of multicolored permanent in the set between the MDFCs that are multicolor and then just like multicolor card, but don't count the devoid multicolor card. You up? Glimpse the Impossible, two generic and a red sorcery. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn at the beginning of the next end step. If any of those cards remain exiled, put them in your graveyard and then create a 0/1 colorless. They'll draw these 1 creature token for each card put into your graveyard this way. Those tokens have sacrifice this creature, add a colorless. So people on like Isaiah server were saying this is probably going to be like the best common, I guess, because it does, or one of the best commons because it does so many things. I put it as a B minus because I think it's like a glue card. It's um it's like a card advantage thing when you need that, and it's like it's a ramp thing when you need that, I guess. It's like a glue card. It might end up playing out worse than normal because you can only play the cards until you can only play those cards this turn. It's not until your end of your next turn, or but maybe in the case that like since maybe you just want the Eldrazi spawn faster anyways, so I don't know. It's like yeah, it's like if you have like a very specific reason, like oh I want the Eldrazi spawn to ramp out my really big creature, then better. Because you're probably not usually gonna play this on 3 unless you just really need a land or an Eldrazi spawn. Like, because you'll probably hit like a land off of this, and then I guess you just let the other 2 cards go away and get like Eldrazi spawn. I don't. Infernal Captor, three generic and a red creature Devil Rogue exploit. When this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. When Infernal Captors exploits the creature, gain control of target artifact or creature until end of turn. Untap the permanent gain test until haste until end of turn. I don't know. I guess this can sack your Eldrazi spawn and get like a decent amount of damage. If you have like 6 mana, you could like Infernal Captor, exploit something, steal their creature, hit them with it, and then sack it to that other spell, the Eviscerator's Insight. But I don't know. It's like, there's also like some 1 mana sack. I think this is like very niche. It's like you have to be like very aggro, like where like the hitting them with the creature. I guess if they have like their 7/7, you can hit them with it. I don't know, like but I think this is mostly gonna get played in like some kind of black red sack deck. I had it rated as like C minus or something. I don't really like it that much, to be honest. Right, Inventor's Axe, red artifact equipment flash. When Inventor's Axe enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. When Inventor's Axe enters the battlefield, attaches a target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Equip, pay 2 energy. I don't like this card. I guess it's like it can generate energy and it can be your energy sink. It only adds like 2 power. I think it's gonna play a lot like the flash equipment from like March of the Machine, which was not like very exciting. I guess this goes up if you have like affinity with artifact stuff, then it matters, but like the idea is I guess is Inventor's Axe lets like your 2/2 trade up into like a 3/3 or something, and then you have an equipment left over that like pays or affinity with artifacts, but or makes I mean makes your affinity with artifact stuff cheaper. I put it as a D plus. Right, Mog Mob is triple red, creature goblin, sacrifice Mog Mob. It deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. So there's like a thing in like all the modern Horizon sets that like there's a triple card of some iconic magic card or something. I think there was like the first one was like Llanowar Tribe. It was like a triple green 3/3 that taps for 3 green mana, and then there was like a triple white um flying lifelink creature. It was supposed to be like a reference to like Healer's Hawk, I guess, but it was like triple Healer's Hawk, and this is triple Fog Raider. But yeah, it's cool. It's cost triple red. It's probably going to be clunky. It's probably cool with that Aether Revolt card I just mentioned that I just went over. I don't know. I put it as like a C. I don't know. It's like It's like night, like the a 3 mana 3/3 is not very exciting. I mean, like Arc Lightning is cool too. It's like I don't know in this format of like Arc Lightning is going to be really insane. I guess because it's an instant, you can just or like it's good for you, but it is triple red. Kind of a pain that lowers it for me. Right, Molten Gatekeeper. It is two color, two generic, and a red artifact creature golem. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under control, Molten Gatekeeper deals damage. Each opponent unnerf red. I don't like this. It's a 3 mana 2/3. It does like ping the opponent. I don't know. I don't really want to play this. Not very exciting. I guess if you really need like the body or something to count towards affinity, sure. But I put it as a D plus. Or Party Thrasher, one generic in the red. Creature Lizard Wizard. I like that type. But non-creature spells you cast from exile have Convoke. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may discard a card. If you do, exile the top two cards of your library and then choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. Like, the body's kind of bad. It is, like, card advantage, and, like, because the text on there, you could maybe, like, ramp something out with if you have, like, a lot of creatures. Um, there's some synergy with stuff that cares about like exiled cards, like the whatever that Ulamog or whatever we're talking about. But I'm just I think this is probably gonna play out like as a C or a C plus, whatever. Just like I mean, yeah, it does give like you do technically like if you're like late game, like you're discarding a card to like look at one of your top two, it's gonna be pretty great. I don't know. It's just hard for me to like evaluate. Like, yeah, you don't actually have to discard a card either. Or you could just play as a 1/4 blocker early on and just convoke stuff. It only lets you convoke non-creature spells, though. Important to right, Pyrexene Ironworks, 2 in a red artifact. Whenever you attack, you gain an energy, and then tap, pay 3 energy, create a 3/3 colorless Pyrexene Golem artifact creature. Activate. I don't like this card. I think it's just like it's an energy payoff, but like even I don't know, like 3 energy to make a 3/3. I guess it's fine. I don't know. It's like how many times do you think you're going to attack with this? You know, and if you just like play this and you have no other energy and no creature, it's gonna feel pretty sad. So I put it as a D plus, but it does work with your affinity for artifact stuff, I guess. Power balance, 2 red, enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may reveal the top card of the library. If you do, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost if the two spells have the F. Don't play it. Just don't play it. It's just not really meant for like limited. Alright, Ral and the Implicit Maze, 3 generic and 2 red, enchantment saga. 1, Ral in the Implicit Maze deals 2 damage to each creature in the planeswalker your opponent's control. 2, you may discard a card. If you do, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them until the end of your next turn. And then 3, create a Spellgorger weird token. Um, it's expensive, but like the way I think you would play this card is like you have a bunch of creatures, you attack with them, your opponent's block, and then after combat you play like Ral and the Implicit Maze, and like maybe it kills their small creatures and their bigger ones that made it that blocked your stuff. The 2 is like okay, you can turn 1 card into 2, like if you just have an excess land, like maybe the cards on top of the library are not very good, but at least you're going a little deeper. Do it. And then the 3 is like, okay, you get a Spellgorger weird, and it does seem like blue-red cares about casting a lot of non-creature spells. I think I have it rated as a B minus, but it could be. I mean, the only thing that maybe holds it up is it costs 5 mana, but Reckless Pyro Surfer, 1 and a red creature human scout, haste landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, Reckless Pyro Surfer gains battle cry until end of turn. Um, so this could actually just deal a lot of damage out of nowhere, like. And notice that battle cry stacks. So if you play like a landscape and then you sack it, you would get 2 triggers of battle cry, so that would actually be like a lot of damage. So I put this as like a B minus. It could play out as like a B if you have like a really super aggro go wide deck. Like I think this card is like is actually pretty pushed for 2 drop. Alright, reiterating bolt, 1 generic and a red sorcery. Replicate, pay 3 energy. Reiterating bolt deals 3 damage to target creature planeswalker. So like the fail case of this isn't that bad, like if you're not paying the energy, but if you have the energy, it's pretty great, right? I mean, yeah, that's sorcery speed, but I feel like, you know, this is like the potential to do like this is a decent like 2-for-1 potential here. It's like put as a B minus. Serpadian, Simulacrum, 1 red, Artifact Goblin, Haste, 3 in a red, sacrifice Serpadium, Simulacrum. It deals 4 damage to target creatures 1/1. I don't really like 1/1 haste for 1. And like I guess the sack mode is like fine too. I think you just play this like again if you really need like the affinity with artifact stuff, but I don't know. I'd probably just prefer not to play this card. Put it a C minus. It's not like completely horrible. That was very close. Alright, Siege Smash 1 in the red, instant split second. As long as the spell's on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. Choose 1, destroy target artifact. Then target creature gains +2/+2 and gains trample 10 turn. Um, so I mean, both of the modes are actually not bad, like just because of like the split second. Um, and like it's pretty close to like run amok. And there's been formats where like run amok are actually like really good. I put it as a C just because of like the flexibility. It could be like closer to like a C plus. So the thing is like the fact that it's split second means like they can't like kill your creature before the pump resolves. But they could still technically have like a removal spell that still kills your creature even after it gets bigger. But that gives you like a little bit of protection. Right, skittering precursor, 2 generic and a red. Creature Eldrazi drone, devoid menace. Whenever you sacrifice a non-creature permanent, create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn. I like this because it like ramps and you know, like this kind of slots in well into like that black red sacrifice deck. Notice you have to sacrifice non-tokens, otherwise it would be infinite with like Eldrazi spawn tokens. So you might not necessarily get that many like spawn from this. This also works with like landscape, because that's landscapes are non-token permanents. I had it as like a C plus, but yeah, it works with like landscapes because non-token permanents. Right, Skoa, Ember Mage, 4 generic and 2 red legendary creature Goblin Wizard. When Skoa, Ember Mage enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to any target. Grandier, discard another card named Skoa, Ember Mage, sacrifice 2 mountains. Skoa deals 4 damage to any target. It's a 4/4. It's basically a throwback to Fire Blast. Cost 6 mana. It's a lot. Thing is, the fact that it's a common, there's a good chance the grandeur will actually come up. Whether you actually want to, like, I mean, the thing is, if you can actually play, like, because you have to play like the Skoa before you can use the grandeur ability. So it's like, I guess at that point, like the Fire Blast is actually cool because you're just like, oh, I'm fine with just like sacking into something, and I mean, it could maybe like potentially catch somebody off guard if you have Skoa, and then you discard one while you're tapped out. I guess Arena will like give that away with the Arena pause. Like that gives that away that you could maybe you might have Skoa in your hands if you pauses, but I put it as like a C plus just because it's like pretty expensive. But I mean, the fact that it can go face, which is nice. Alright, Smelted Charge Bug, one generic and a red artifact creature insect menace. When Smelted Charge Bug enters the battlefield, you get 2. Whenever a Smelted Charge Bug attacks, you may pay an energy. If you do, another target attacking creature gets +1/+0 and gain on a turn. Um, I don't really like the stats on this. Like, I guess it can help push damage through on another creature, but I think just like a Wandering Menace is just not really going to contribute a lot, usually. So I had it like a D plus, but I don't know. I'm just not like a big fan of like Wandering Menace. But again, this gets better if you have like affinity. So it can only pump other attacking creatures. Alright, Spawn Game Commander 3 and 3 generic and 2 red. Creature Eldrazi Goblin Devoid. When you cast a spell, create 3/0/1 colorless Eldrazi. Spawn creature tokens with sacrifices creature. Add one colorless, and then one and a colorless. One generic and one colorless. Sacrifice an Eldrazi. Spawn Game Commander deals 2 damage to any target. Um, I mean, I remember a Siege Gang Commander used to be like bomb adjacent. I don't know. I think this is like closer to a B because like the the spawns aren't quite as good as like I mean depending on how you look at it, the spawns aren't quite as good as having like actual like ones. But maybe if you want the ramp, they're better than 1/1s. It does require colorless to sack the Eldrazi. I mean, you can also sack non-spawn Eldrazi too. That might come up, but you will need to have like you'll either need to like sack spawn tokens to pay for the ability, or you'll need to like have like other colorless mana sources. So you need to build around it a little bit. Like I don't think you usually want to just be sacking like because like otherwise like the body is really sacking. It could be so it might be closer to B minus if they were B plus if you just have like colorless mana sources. Alright, Thriving Skyclaw is 2 generic and 2 red, creature cat dragon flying. Whenever Thriving Skyclaw enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. Whenever Thriving Skyclaw attacks, you may pay 3 energy if you do put a +1/+1 counter on it. Um like a 3/2 flyer for 4 is kind of boring. Like a 4/3 flyer for 4 is like more exciting. You're gonna need to like feed it a lot of energy for it to have a higher ceiling than that. Like I guess maybe you could also just use the energy on something else with like Snapping Drake. So I put it as like a C plus. I don't think it's like really broken because like it takes so much energy to put the counter on it, but like I guess if you have like enough energy generator, but it does feel like a lot of the energy generators, just not like a ton of energy generators. Right, Unstable Amulet, 1 in the red artifact. When Unstable Amulet enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Unstable Amulet deals 1 damage to each opponent, and then tap, pay 2 energy, exile top card of your library. You may play it until you exile another card with Unstable Amulet. I don't know, I think this card's bad, personally. I guess, like, maybe if you have other cards that let you play cards from exile, it gets better, but I don't know. I don't really want to play it, so I put it as like a D plus. But Void Pouncer, 1 generic and a red creature Eldrazi, Devoid Kicker. two generic and a color. If Void Pouncil is kicked, it enters the battlefield with two +1/+1 counters and a trample counter on it and with haste. Um, I don't know. I put it as like a C minus because I'm not really like excited about either mode. It's like it's a 2 mana 3/1 or it's a 5/3 trample haste. I don't know. I mean maybe it's like it's a lot of surprise damage. Potentially it could be closer to a C, but I don't know. I don't really like it that much either. Alright, Wheel of Potential, 2 generic, and a red sorcery. You get 3 energy counters and you pay X energy. Each player may exile their hand and draw X cards. If X is 7 or more, you may play cards you own exile this way until end of your next turn. I put this as a D minus, but I don't know. I don't really like wheel effects in like limited because like I think the idea is like you want to dump your hand and then play it and maybe as a side effect like screw your opponent out of like their hand. Like if their hand looks really good, they don't like they don't have to exile their hand. I guess it just depends. Like maybe if you pay a lot for the X, they might just exile their hand anyways because they want to have like they want. It could be better than I'm thinking it is, but just the way I see, like, it doesn't seem like again there's a lot of like excess energy that you can just throw around on stuff like this, and usually like stuff like this is not played out very well in limited, like especially because like it's an optional for the opponent, like guard their hand a lot. But maybe it's actually really good. I'm just super harsh on it.